All right, so you've got there in your book, your reading assignment. It's the same thing that was posted on Google Classroom last Friday. I posted, I don't remember when I posted it, but it was sometime last Friday because a lot of people were getting finished with their corrections on the ACT test, so I went ahead and posted it so you know what to do. On Classroom is a PDF of a modest proposal. You have it here in front of you on 50 essays. So either way, whether you're doing it in class or at home watching the video, you have the text in front of you. Everything you need. The assignment is also in front of you. And in your notes, you should have soapstone. So you can refer to that. You can go ahead and get your soapstone out if you want to or whatever. But you're going to need to write down some things about this assignment. But do not write on the handout because I only have a class set and that's to go for the whole day, okay? But I will tell you some things that you might want to write down about this assignment as we go through to make sure everybody understands it. All right, first you're going to read it. It tells you right there, there's number 1. It's got the page numbers for 50 essays on there. You've got the PDF online. Next, after you've read it, not while you're reading it, after you've read it, go back and do soapstone. Okay, for the entire essay. Y'all know how to do that. We've been through that before. Also online, I posted a detailed discussion of soapstone in case you need to refer back to it to maybe fix some of your notes, some gaps in your notes or something like that. So it's all on there. Then outline the elements of argument. Now let me talk to you a little bit about what that is. We've already talked about it a little bit, but I want to lay it out for you, and you write it in your own notes. Okay? What are the elements of argument? Claim, right, which is their argument or the point the writer is making. Right? That's their claim. You writing this down? You probably should. Okay? So claim. Then evidence. What evidence do they give to support their claim? And then the explanation. How do they explain the connection between the evidence and their point, their claim, their argument? All of these terms, claim, point, argument, all these are being used interchangeably here. All right? So, what's their claim? What evidence do they give? And how do they explain the connection between the evidence and the claim? So, you're going to outline that. Just make a little bullet point outline or whatever for this entire essay. You're going to talk about what is his claim. What's his overall big picture claim. And then there's going to be lots of evidence that he supplies to support his claim. He's going to argue that this is the way things are, this is how to fix them. Then he's going to give all of this evidence to support that, and he's going to explain how the evidence supports it, right? That's what we're talking about. And I want you to just bullet point that so that you get your mind wrapped around it. So that you're noticing, okay, what's he doing here? Why is he doing this? Then, we look at number 4, cite 2 examples of the classical appeals in the first 8 paragraphs. Now, what are the classical appeals? We talked about them last week. Remember I had them on the board over here? Okay. What are they?
Emotion, logic, and ethics. What is that?
That's good. Emotion, logic / reason, and ethics. Okay, that's what we're going to focus on at this point. And remember, no Greek. Because I already tried an earlier period today, the first thing was logos, ethos, and faith. Yeah, but I don't want you using Greek terms. You talk about what you just said, and then explain it. So, cite 2 examples of the classical Greek appeals in the first 8 paragraphs. Got that? Then, identify, and this is the good part, identify the speaker's primary appeal. What appeal does Swift rely on the most in this essay? Okay? And there is one that's clearly his big thing. Okay? This appeal is the one that he's using. What is it? I want you to identify it and then explain why you think he used that so extensively. That's going to tie back to the purpose and audience, isn't it? Okay? Why did he use that appeal so extensively? So, those are your 5 points for the reading assignment. Now let's talk about the writing assignment very quickly here. You're going to create your own modest proposal. It's spelled out for you here as a solution to some terrible problem. Now let's go on over to the next page. We go to the guidelines. 1 and 2 can be interchanged as far as the order goes. You can do it in either order you want. State your solution and then state your problem and why it's a problem. Some people like to start off with a solution like as an attention getter. You know, especially in something like this in a satire where it's very harsh solution. They like to start with the solution and then start explaining the problem they're trying to solve. Other people like to explain the problem and then hit you with the solution. You do whichever way is more comfortable for you. It doesn't really matter to me. All right? Then you're going to employ the appeals and demonstrate how your solution solves the problem. You got to talk about that. Now look at number 4. There are 3 parts to number 4, and I want to make sure that you cover all 3 of them. You with me? You have to explain the benefits of your solution for society at large, okay? Then for the average family, and then finally for the individual. So think about that. Now that doesn't have to be like 3 different bullet points or anything like that. You can put it all together in 1 sentence if you want. But you need to make sure that all of those groups are somehow addressed. And then finally, cite any disadvantages as if they're meaningless. Just kind of blow it off. Okay? So you're kind of like a politician, right? All right. Now, and I have on here an example and then a bunch of sample topics and so like that just to get your mind going. And then at the bottom I say there are 2 things I want you to notice at the bottom of that last page. Almost any topic in which you have a genuine interest will work. Almost. And finally, the very last part, there are a few things that we're just not going to deal with in here. Abortion, child molesting, rape, suicide, those types of things, we're just not going to deal with that stuff. Okay? Just not going to deal with it. Because they're just not really good topics to use satire. Because satire... I'm sorry?
Too many people would disagree about, never mind.
2 people would disagree? Is that what you said?
No, like,
Too many.
never mind.
Oh, too many people would disagree.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we don't really care if people disagree or not. But I don't want to be insensitive because we have students here who either themselves or their families have experienced all these things and we just don't want to trace that stuff up. Okay? Yeah.
Will we be reading these in class?
That last point. Yes, maybe. Okay? Now, you're going to make a bullet point. You're not going to write it all out like an essay. You're going to make a bullet point for a presentation. It's an outline for a presentation. Presentations will begin Wednesday morning. Wednesday morning. First of the class, Wednesday, we'll start presentations. And here's how we're going to choose who presents. Okay? So when you come to class Wednesday, first thing we want to do is everybody's going to turn in your outlines to me. And then if I draw your number, we'll give your outline back. And then you come up here to the class and you can present it. All right, and we'll talk about a time limit if we need to, but most of them are pretty short, 3-ish minutes, yeah.
So, like, when we turn in the outline, you want all this, like, soapstone and
No,
whatever?
all I want is the outline for your presentation.
Okay.
That's all you're going to turn in Wednesday. All of this other stuff you're doing is to prepare you, to help you read it analytically, and to help you prepare your outline. Your grade for all of this is going to write on the presentation outline, or the presentation. Okay? All right, how's that work for you? Any other questions? We good? All right, what questions do you have for me? Yes?
You did say that the reading assignment is on, like, this is on Google Classroom, right?
It is. It's all of this stuff is posted on Google Classroom. All right, we good? Let's get to it.